This crowd rises to its feet. Toro slammed it home. Garland left wing, free ball. Perfect! Garland one of the lane, lobbed to Mobley. Pow! And Allen blocked the shot at the rim. Pow! With the left hand and a foul.
Welcome to the Chasetown Podcast, part of the Cavs media family. I'm your host, Justin Rowan. The Chasetown is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. August keeps rolling around, and we have a little bit of news. The NBA schedules have been released, some WNBA news in Cleveland, and to help me break that down and a whole lot more is my co-host, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, buddy. It is a big week in the Rodriguez household. My daughter goes to kindergarten tomorrow morning. So I'm a sad boy, but a proud dad. And let me tell you, it's overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff to solve for in this new world I'm walking into.
I'm completely blown away by that. I'm shocked that this is that time of life for your children, or at least one of them, I should say. But that's nuts. I can't imagine all the emotions that you're going through with that. But that's pretty cool stuff. But you know, as cynical as I can be at times, when I see the family post from you and the fam, it always warms my cold dead heart.
You're about to say as cynical as you can be when you see my family posts.
Oh no.
It's like,
man,
sometimes
if that, I promise you this, if that were to happen, I would let you know. I'd be like, you know what, this is a little corny.
Yeah, let me tell you, don't. I'd rather you just think you like it.
That is fair. We will keep the illusion going on much longer. As I said at the top of the podcast, we do have some news. Cool announcement for the WNBA in Cleveland. Allison Howard was announced as president of business operations. She has 20 years experience in sports with the Lakers, KC Current, and the Cavs starting in 2024, and also local Dayton grad. So that's exciting news. Carter, I haven't actually asked you this directly, but with the new WNBA team in Cleveland, are you hoping that they go with the Rockers name? Where are you at with that?
I'm always down for a little bit of nostalgia, but if they want to set a new brand identity, that's fine too. I'm excited. Really, I just want them to pick one, and roll it out so I can. It's so hard saying like WNBA Cleveland and stuff like that, So yeah. I'm really excited for them to roll things out, and it's exciting to see that the WNBA journey is like really starting to kick off proper for this organization. And I know 2028 feels far away, but one, I remain super excited about it. Especially, because of that aforementioned daughter who I cannot wait, especially to take to games, but my son as well. And it's fun to see kind of them already kickstarting the process. 'Cause it's not something that you can just flip a light switch and all of a sudden your org's ready to go and compete in a really, really, a hyper competitive league right now that is growing, every freaking day. So excited to see the Cavs kind of kicking off that, the wider Cavaliers parent group kicking off that process, and excited to see the WNBA in Cleveland take root.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to see, all the posts about the amount of interest within Cleveland for this. It's such a great sports town, and I think it's going to be great for the city as well. The times that I've been able to go to Cleveland when the weather is really nice, man, it's an amazing city. It's awesome. It's great to be able to walk around in Cleveland and having, another league that is active in the summertime outside of the guards. I think it's going to be great to showcase just how great the city is. The fans and the environment is obviously going to be a great showcase just because Cleveland shows up. But it's really, really exciting. And I know what a difference, not that it's even close to the same level, but I know what a difference it's been for Winnipeg getting, the CEBL in the summer, right? Just being able to utilize that downtown space in the arena for sporting events has been great.
How are the boys doing, Justin?
Oh, buddy, I'm happy you asked. If there was a time for me to be indulgent about that, It's right now, because championship weekend is being hosted in Winnipeg this weekend. The Winnipeg is taking on Calgary in the Western Conference Finals on Friday. If anyone wants to tune in for that, 8:30 Eastern, CBL Plus. It is free to watch. The Cavs will be, don't you dare put that timer on me. I will talk for however long I want. Jameer Nelson Jr. is on the Calgary Surge, and I am already haunted about what a conference final games against the Jameer Nelson is going to look like for me. Greg Brown III is awesome on Calgary. Winnipeg has a bunch of Cavs connections. Trayvon Scott. We got Jamorko Pickett, Cavs preseason legend.
Pickett.
He's on Calgary, so we'll be playing against Jamorko. It's going to be a lot of fun. Vancouver was kind of the prohibitive favorite, and they got knocked off in the semifinals. The way the CBL does it is the first couple rounds of the playoffs, those are in the local markets. Then the conference finals and the championship game, all on one weekend in a host city. That city is Winnipeg. I couldn't be more excited.
Very, very well done, brother.
Was that seriously the 60-second timer?
No, I did it manually.
Okay, I was like, because I wasn't even thinking about.
I can't not pay it off. I got to pay off the timer with something.
That's fair. I'm very, very excited though. It's it's past the test. This is year 3 of them being here in Winnipeg, and the fact that I know that my weekend and probably the next week would be ruined if they lost is a test that, like, it is no longer just a novelty thing. I'm invested, and I'm all in, Carter.
Let's let the Chase Down Army support you in solidarity. Go Sea Bears. Our friends to the north, our sister franchise in all the ways that aren't real. Go Bears.
There is a Cleveland connection too, because when the NCAA women's tournament was hosted in Cleveland, that court made it up to Winnipeg. That beautiful Sea Bears painted court came from Cleveland. So there's another connection there. But let's get to the Cavs. This is obviously a Cavs podcast. The schedule was released. As you know, Carter, we're not the biggest schedule podcast, but I like to do my deep dives. But before
we're the schedule podcast when a tough stretch is coming up. That's when we're the schedule podcast.
Yes, but hey, I always point it out ahead of time, and I'm going to do that right now, really ahead of time in the middle of August. But did you have any thoughts, feelings about the schedule when you saw that get released?
It's nice to see how much national TV time this team's going to get, especially on some of the new networks like Peacock and NBC, and I think did they get any? Yeah, they got a couple prime games as well. So it'll be really interesting, like getting to hear like the new. I'm super excited for all the new broadcast teams. I think they're going to add a lot of life and a lot of freshness to the game. You kind of forget that you can hire other people to talk about basketball when the same partners have it for as long as they do. So and like that's not even shade. It's just like everyone gets into a rhythm, and unless you got a really good reason to change, a lot of people don't want to change. So, like, the idea of, like, the Steve Nash, Mello, Dirk Nowitzki, Taylor Rooks desk breaking down the Cavs in some of these national TV games, that's super exciting for me. Watching, hearing round ball rock before a Cavs game, very exciting to me. So, that's the first thing that jumps out at me. And then the one thing that really, if I have, like, an immediate, like, large disappointment, we only play the next 3 times. They're not a 4-timer. And I feel like they are in so many ways are going to be that measuring stick team. So, it is what it is, but you do have 4 against Orlando. So, you've got 7 of your 82 against your 2 biggest contenders in the East. Yeah.
And the disappointing thing is, too, with those games against the Knicks being so early, like at least the first 2, the opener and then Christmas Day, you're not kind of getting that late season measuring stick game that we like to have. It's tough because I still think that we're going to be in a spot where a lot of people are not going to take a whole lot of stock in the regular season, right? When you have a team like the Cavs that has had this much regular season success the last couple of years, and things have happened, whether it be issues with the supporting cast, whether it be injuries. You're not going to assume that the Cavs are going to ride to a championship no matter what happens in the regular season. Maybe that having kind of those late season measuring stick games isn't as much of a priority. But I still like to have it. I still think there is a whole lot that you can learn from the regular season, and certainly we'll be going over that all year. But I still would have liked to have a couple late season games, because the other factor is you don't know if there's going to be some change ups, right? Like, you don't know if the Knicks or Cavs are going to make some changes to what their roster looks like at the trade deadline. And when you get some of those late March games, sure, it might not be representative of what a playoff series is going to look like against those teams. It still is an interesting data point to at least point to.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. But on the counterpoint to that, I will say, another thing kind of reflective of like where the Cavs are in the NBA hierarchy, the fact that we're opening up with a national TV game against a marquee opponent is really reflective of the league taking this Cavs team seriously. Felt like they opened the last 46 seasons on the road in Toronto or so, and those were always kind of like good tune-up games. Like, you'd be excited and, because the season's starting, but like, the idea that, and I will say there's also like a pressure to it, like there's almost an inverse anxiety where it's like, oh man, you want to come out and make a statement right off the rip. And all these eyes nationally are going to be on you. Like, those national TV games at the beginning of the year, on my birthday, by the way, October 22nd, must be said.
There you go.
Those games are going to be among the most viewed national games that you're going to find, because everyone's so excited about hoops starting again. Everyone's going to be looking for stuff to take away opinions from. So it's like there is that immediate kickoff into like, oh, we're going, and teams are going, and the basketball viewing community is going to draw conclusions about this team on night one as a result of that.
Yeah, I think the last time we opened a season against the Knicks, it was with LeBron returning, right? Like it was that really anticipated game, national TV. We lost that one. I think it was actually pretty close down the stretch, and
but we were choppy. You could tell there were going to be some problems.
We were choppy, and even though the Knicks won that game in the spotlight, I think the Knicks actually finished 15th in the Eastern Conference that season, so they were dead last. So that was one of their few wins of the season. But you're not going to be able to take a whole lot from it. I think we're both kind of expecting Darius Garland to be absent from that game as well. But the Cavs did a really good job against the Knicks last year. I still expect this team to have a great shot against the Knicks on a nightly basis, whether one of the guards are out or not, right? Like, late season Darius, apparently playing through a toe strain at the time, was able to beat the Knicks at Madison Square Garden with Jalen Tyson playing heavy minutes and Donovan Mitchell out of the lineup, right? So I think it is going to be a really fun showcase. I expect the crowd to be absolutely nuts, and hopefully the continuation of what at times has been kind of the formation of a pretty good rivalry between these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I think that's going to be a great start. Justin, let's talk about some mechanics. What's going on? What's the density looking like for this team this year? Because we always talk about it. It's not always about who you're playing. It's about like what state you're in when you're playing them. And what's been the preceding week looking like? Anything jump out at you there?
Yeah, so of course I'm the schedule sicko here, so I dove in pretty deep. Hoops Hype actually did a really cool exercise where they looked at each month for every team, and they tried to figure out what the strength of schedule month by month is going to be. They weighted it out so that a rating of 100 is league average, and that's based on the projected number of wins for each team. So obviously you can't put too much stock in this. If we would have done this exercise last year, games against the Sixers would hold a whole lot more weight than they actually ended up meaning. And, surprise teams like Detroit would look like an easy game. But obviously we know that they're a little more difficult, but I still thought it was really interesting. And when I looked at the Cavs, it was just about the most flat one out of any team. Some teams had like a 74 out of 100, so super easy schedule for 1 month. Some had like a 120 over 100, so really difficult. The Cavs, every single one is hovering around 100. October is 98, November 99, December 94. January is their toughest. It's almost 105. Then February, 98, March, 94, and April, 96. Really, really balanced schedule. You don't have a single month that's overly easy, none that are super difficult. So I think from that standpoint, it's pretty encouraging. And they also don't have the same kind of density at the end of the season. I think one of the contributing factors for some of the wear and tear for the Cavs late in the season was that 22-game stretch where they didn't play in the same city twice in a row. They were always on the road. It was functioning like a 22-game road trip. You don't really have that. February is kind of the closest thing we have to that, where every game is on the road. Obviously, you play fewer games in February, 11 games in 28 days. But
all but one is on the road.
Well, here's the thing. So you play 2 home games in February. One's on the 11th and one's on the 19th.
Sorry.
So
no, there's one more on the 24th. There's 3.
Right. But you are traveling between each of these games is what I'm saying. There isn't consecutive home games, and the only set of consecutive home games comes on the opposite ends of the All-Star break. So you're likely traveling, you're getting that time off, but you're not really benefiting it from the same way. But if there was a time for that to happen, I think February is the best possible time. And you kind of feed into March, which I didn't know this was allowed, Carter. We have 4 days off in a row early in March after that stretch of February. And not only that, later in March, 8 consecutive days in Cleveland, a nice long over a week homestand for the Cavs in March. So that is a big, big difference from even the last couple of years. And I think that's the kind of thing that, you don't really think of until you're kind of there. But looking ahead, that seems like that's going to be very favorable for the Cavs as they finish up the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think generally this is balanced, but if you are looking for the hellish 2-week stretch, it is that end of January into the All-Star break stretch. Because you've got a home and home against Orlando, then you host the Lakers. Maybe LeBron's last time in Cleveland. Who's to say? Then you go on your longest road trip of the season, a 5-gamer out west. That is peak staying up late and feeling grumpy about it hours. No 11 o'clock starts, though. I know everyone online is very grumpy about those. But, at Phoenix, at Portland, at Clippers, at Kings, at Nuggets, right before a pre-break trap game against the Wizards. Right when everyone's ready to go to Cancun for the week or wherever the All-Star game is, because of course I didn't remember where that is. That's probably the toughest stretch of the year, but like the fact that it does have home games around it and it does have the All-Star break around it. It's not like sometimes those long road trips are the worst when you come home and then you're just back into the grind again. And I think it's about as chill of a schedule as I've seen in terms of it just doesn't have a tremendous amount of oh my God, how could they do that to us stretches. And the algorithm makes fools of us all on the schedule. But for the most part, their national games are in the front end of back-to-backs if they have them. They're mostly, most of their marquee matchups, you go, yeah, they got a good shot at that. They're not playing, 3 games in 4 nights or anything like that. Not to say there aren't a few tough spots, but generally, I think it's about as gentle of a schedule as you're going to expect to find.
Yeah, Christmas would be an example of that, where they're playing 3 and 4. They do get the day off before the Christmas game, but they do play back-to-back prior to that. I did notice they have 3 sets of playing 3 games in 4 nights within the first 13 games of the season. So you have a lot of schedule density on that front end and a fair bit of travel there. So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate that. Now, because I'm a sicko and an optimistic one at that, I was looking at the schedule for a Darius Garland return time. Because when the Cavs released their statement on June the 9th, they said 4 to 5 month recovery. The hope is he'll be able to resume basketball activities at the start of training camp. Those that don't know, training camp starts on September the 29th. There was some people that looked at that release and they said, well, 4 months would actually be October 9th. So how would that be the start of training camp? And as someone that has gone through extensive recovery, Carter, don't roll your eyes at me. I will just say, when it comes to recovery timelines, normally a month is shorthand for 4 weeks, not, a month to the date. I learned that when I had my Achilles tear. The 2 month in the boot was actually 8 weeks in the boot. So you cut off a couple days there. I looked at it. I did my Googling, Carter. AI was a little helpful there as well. 16 weeks from that June 9th surgery date is September the 30th. So technically that is at that 4-month stretch for Darius Garland. And I was trying to look. I was like, okay, if he misses 10 games, let's say he misses the first 10 games of the season, similar to the Gary Trent Jr. eye thing, that would be November the 10th against Miami. Would be the 11th game. That would be an opportunity for him to return. That would be 22 weeks from the surgery date, which is about 5.5 months there. If he's resuming basketball activities, around training camp, I expect him to take it slow. I don't expect him to play in preseason. I don't even really expect him to play at the start of the regular season. But I do think, with a ramp up that doesn't include any setbacks, that might be kind of where we would target that kind of mid-November stretch, unless they are ultra conservative with it. But I just thought that was a helpful little reminder, because I think when people hear 4 to 5 months, you're going October 9th or November the 9th. That's not exactly how it works. Recovery times are usually a little more to do with weeks, and months are kind of shorthands for those 4-week blocks. That's
fair. And you're very expert medical prognosis aside.
That's some creative accounting. That is me doing optimistic creative accounting right
peak, there. Justin Rowan talking himself into nonsense in a dark room, scrolling down the calendar, marking days, just peak sicko behavior. It would be hilarious to have Darius play his first 2 games for 2 road games in Miami, but
that would be really funny.
Yeah, to battle perhaps the South Beach flu and getting your wind back. I mean, that feels like too much to ask of any man. But I do think you look at that opening schedule, and while there's some tough games in there, like if he was gonna miss some time, there's worse stretches for him to miss. I mean, at the Knicks sucks to miss, but then it's at Brooklyn, which should be a win, versus Milwaukee, which, they're perpetually shorthanded from a roster construction perspective. At Detroit, that's a tough one. At Boston, easier than it would be in most years. Versus Toronto, versus Atlanta, versus Philly. At Washington, versus Chicago. Like, I guess it just depends on how, fully cooked, teams like Atlanta and Philly come out. Like, if they come out looking strong, then all of a sudden you're like, ugh, sucks not having Darius right now. If they're in rough shape or taking a second to find themselves, then that stretch looks a lot easier, a lot more manageable. And is that 10 games to that Miami game? Is that what that is?
The Miami game would be the 11th.
So if let's say Darius doesn't play in those games, what's the record?
I still think it's going to be strong. I think there's a very good chance that
7-3 would be my guess. 8-2.
7-3, 8-2. 6-4 if someone else gets a little banged up or anything like that. But I'd expect it to be in that range, because even with Darius out, you have 2 All-NBA level talents. You have Jared Allen, who's a fringe all-star level player, and DeAndre Hunter is a very good scorer, and it's going to be a real boost for this team. They have a ton of depth. They have a ton of continuity. It's not like you're trying to really integrate new pieces that, even though you have new guys in Lonzo and Larry, it's not like they are ball dominant scorers that are tough to integrate. They are usually the types of players that make life easier for everybody else. I still have a ton of confidence in this team early on. And I think they can achieve a record like that without really wearing guys down.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really wear guys down last year. They had some bad injury luck, but they weren't playing guys 42 minutes a game just when people were hurt, So I'll be really interested. I think, if anything, we'll just see more tinkering from the coaching staff. I think that's kind of where you might represent some regular season, like, I don't want to say like lack of seriousness, but like a different way of attacking it, you know, where maybe it's less about trying to win that game with that strategy and more about like building a foundation of like, hey, we're going to try, you know, hedging this action or icing this action depending on the context and the player to see how well we can learn how to do that thing.
Yeah. And the other factor is when you have a good number of back-to-backs in that stretch, you're probably going to see a little Tyrese Proctor. Jalen Tyson's probably going to get burned regardless of where he is in the rotation. I expect, you know, with Darius out and back-to-back situations and not wanting to wear guys out early in the season, I expect basically 12 to 13 in the roster to play at some point. It might not be for every single game, but I do expect Kenny to use kind of the full extent of the roster, particularly when they are all deserving of playing time, right? Like we struggle sometimes to boil the rotation down to 10. Who's going to be the guys that you're going with on a 10-man rotation? But, you know, Lonzo's probably not going to play back-to-backs, right? Like they're probably going to be conservative with his management. That's going to open up opportunities for Craig Porter Jr. and Tyrese Proctor. You might do something similar with Larry, right? To keep him healthy. Opportunities are going to be there for guys. And I think that's one of those spots where the Cavs depth is really going to be an asset for them.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a fun year. A schedule's set. I think the schedule is good. It kind of kicked things into reality for me. Definitely like took my hunger for Cavs hoops back up another notch. And it's going to be fun. I know we're not big schedule guys, but damn, we got like 25 minutes out of that.
Yeah, look at that. And it helps. It helps also having gone through the last couple seasons where I know what to look for now ahead of time, where we're not sitting there in March being like, hey, we haven't been at home for like 2 days in a row for a very, very long time. I actually now know to kind of look for that stuff because it is a big factor, right? Like it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. But I think when you identify those stretches ahead of time, if the team struggles during those times or when other teams struggle and you see those kinds of stretches, it kind of adds some context of, okay, how much weight am I really going to put into this? Because the regular season really is a war of attrition.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. And, you know, when you are going through a war of attrition, you need all hands on deck. And Carter, we have helping hands here with the podcast because of Zoom AI Companion. Only you can do your best work. Zoom AI Companion can help you do the rest, like automatically taking notes, answering meeting questions, and helping you respond to your coworker. Available at no additional cost with eligible paid plans. Work happy with Zoom AI Companion.
Should
Carter,
we do some over-unders, brother?
I think we should do some over-under. So this is, you know, a lazy podcasting mechanic to talk about the rest of the league. I don't want to do over-unders for every single team because, frankly, just talking about like the Washington Wizards and trying to figure out where we're going to go there is I don't think that's too productive. So I kind of limited the list of over-unders to teams that are either projected to have winning records or projected to be kind of in that play-in mix. If you're projected for lower than 35 wins, I'm just not dealing with you today. I should say on the front end, I am not a sports gambler. I do not do it. I do not like it. I do not. This is not gambling advice for anybody. This is straight up just shorthand.
Just for fun.
This is easy for Carter and I to talk about these teams. The only things I really like gambling on, Carter, is poker because I feel like I have some control and I love the social aspect of it, and fantasy football because I just win. So like it's not really gambling when you're profitable, right?
By being obnoxious.
Yes.
And Daryl Morey.
I'll just mention Chase Down Dynasty League, 3-peat, baby. I took over an orphan, crappy team, 1 year of a rebuild, 3-peat, and we're ready for 4, baby.
Everyone's so proud of you.
They really should be. Honestly, they really should be. But let's kick things off with your Cleveland Cavaliers. They are projected to have the best record in the Eastern Conference, 56.5 wins. Carter, how are you feeling?
Oh, they won 64 last year. I do expect a little dip. It was just such a serendipitous year. Everything seemed to break their way for the most part. And I expect some more breaks to go against them. With that said, I'm still taking it over. I'm going to say they're going to win 58 games. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was going to say 58. I'll say 59, continuing my tradition of being close to you, but needing to be a little more optimistic. I think it's going to be around kind of that 60 game marker.
I'm going to pick like 73 1 year just to see you pick 74.
I'll do it. I will absolutely do it. Don't you dare me. But yeah, I think the Cavs have a lot of depth. Looking at the schedule, factoring in that there isn't any like hellacious stretch. There isn't a big overseas trip where, that's going to take a lot of energy out of the guys. We know Garland is likely going to miss some time at the start of the season, but I think that that's something that they can weather, similar to how they did a couple of years ago when he got, poked in the eye by Gary Trent. I think that this team is deep. I think it's well equipped. I think Evan Mobley is ready to take a leap into superstardom. I feel like this is going to be the season where it is not controversial to call him a top 15 player. I think he is going to be a consensus top 15 player by the end of this season with the leap that he takes. And when you have someone like that, when you have someone like Donovan Mitchell and a weak Eastern Conference that's pretty top heavy, I think that the Cavs overachieving and getting over this 56 win kind of threshold is going to be something that they can accomplish.
All right, let's keep moving. The New York Knicks up next in the East. They won 51 games last year. Their over-under is a paltry 52.5. Very, very close. Over or under?
I'm going over. I actually think both the Knicks and let's just throw the Magic in here for the sake of time. They're at 50.5. Orlando's is tricky because of health, but I do think that that's a better roster. They're deeper and they have time together. There's room for internal growth. I think both the Knicks and Magic should be overs. I think they're going to be in that mid 50 range. These just seem a little bit too low for me.
I think what's interesting is kind of just how I think what will drive this is actually where the middle class of the East plays out. And even the upper middle class, like the Hawks, Pistons, Bucks, Sixers group, which are very volatile, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that really drives both of these, where last year, 4 teams in the East won 50 games, and the Milwaukee Bucks were just 2 away at 48. Which, by the way, does it feel like they won 48 games last year?
No, it does not.
That surprised me. But then you look at the year prior, only 2 teams won 50 games, and New York was the 2 seed with 50 wins because you had a team like the Heat who were hanging out in the 8th spot at 46 wins. So it's really about that middle class to me. I don't super believe in this middle class, so I'm going to go over for both of them.
Yeah, it's interesting because right now the lines have it that 8 teams in the East are going to have an above 500 record. And the bottom 2 are the Sixers and Celtics at 42.5. That's going to be important. Like, do you believe that those teams are going to be healthy enough? Do you believe those teams are deep enough? I would say no to both. I think I would go under on both. I know we're kind of jumping around here. Where are you on the Sixers and Celtics?
Man, you're skipping so much.
I know. We're going back up. We don't have to.
So Sixers and Celtics both at 42.5. I feel like one of them is going to be better than we think they should be. Is that stupid? I know it's like the world doesn't work that way, but I just have a feeling like you look at that Celtics team and there's just no depth at all. Like the front court is so dire. It's it's not even Luke Cornett, it's Neemias Queta, it's Chris Boucher, it's Sam Hauser at power forward, so I get it, but like there is just so much institutional strength there, I think, that I wonder if there's a bit of like doubt them at our peril. Like if they cut even more, then okay, but like, Simons can win you some games. Jaylen Brown can win you some games. Like, yeah. Derek White is one of the best, like, scale up role players in the league right now in terms of being a guy who all of a sudden can be averaging in the 20s for a couple weeks at a time. So I think there's something institutional there. And then Philly, I don't like how the pieces fit together, but it's hard not to look at all the talent on the roster and be like, well, it's just going to be a matter of can Embiid play. And if because like, here's the thing. It's really easy for us all to dog on the Sixers. They are easy to root against. They're fun to root against. The Joel stuff has been obnoxious. The Daryl stuff can be obnoxious. But if Joel Embiid comes out at like 80% of prior form, that's going to be a pretty good team. Like, they have a lot of pretty good players, and like when you have 8 or 9 pretty good players and a couple guys, like what if Edgecombe pops and is like a star? Like, he's the number 2 overall pick? I completely forgot. Maybe they were 3.
Yeah. 3.
Number 3 overall picks sometimes become like top 20 players in the NBA. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen for VJ Edgecombe, but like, I just think I think it's too fun to hand wave the Sixers. So I feel like I'm going to go over on the Sixers, under on the Celtics.
I think when both teams are healthy, the Sixers clearly have the better roster at this point. I think they have the deeper roster.
They're also going to be more motivated to win.
Yeah, and I trust Nick Nurse to get a lot out of a team in a regular season. I think that he is great for that. I'm actually really interested to see Joe Mazzulla when he doesn't have basically an all-star team around him that, we're just going to jack up 55 threes and we have guys that can make them. Is he able to kind of adjust the scheme and the system to, we're going to have to hide some guys now. We're going to have to get a little creative. We can't rely on isolation as heavily as we have the last year, right? I'm very interested to see that. But you're right. It is really fun to hand wave the Sixers. So I will hand wave the Sixers and say under, and I will say under for the Celtics as well. I'm going to hand wave both of these teams.
Well, that plays if you're going to go over on the Knicks and Magic. How about the Hawks? A weird team with a lot of really good players. I think they've made a lot of good asset plays this summer. Does it convert into a better than 47.5? An outlandishly high number, says this unbiased observer, for a team that won 40 games last year.
I actually think this is a great line. I don't think that this is a 50-win team, but I kind of have them right at that 47, 48. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. The durability of Porzingis scares me. Jalen Johnson, we're going to have to see how he's able to come back. Do they have to bring him along slowly? That's a pretty serious injury that he suffered.
What's the most games Trae Young's ever won in a season, Justin?
Might be 48.
It's 43.
That's less than Darius Mobley and Jarrett won that year before Mitchell.
Yep, I just went and scrolled through it.
That's unbelievable.
It's just not a team when they made the Eastern Conference Finals, they went. That was a shortened season. That was a 72-game season, so that might be unfair. That's 41-31. Hold on, let me get the math. Let me get the calculator.
I was going to offer to do that for you, but
it is a 47-win pace.
Okay.
So not a 48-win pace, so that still would have been under.
Yeah. Maybe, you know what? You've swayed me. Once again, it's easy to hate on the Hawks. Under. I'm going under.
That just feels a little rich for my blood. Yeah. Like
I can see 47. 47 feels like a good number.
Doesn't that feel like everything went right for them number?
Yeah, and honestly, this next team, the Pistons at 45.5, I think Detroit's going to finish higher than Atlanta. I think they have the continuity. I think they have the better player. I think the Detroit Pistons I'm picking over there because I think they're going to be the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, and that would set up for a very fun or emotional second round. Because if the Pistons and Hawks are the 4-5 and we're the 1 seed, man, that there's storylines with either. Because we've had our troubles against the Hawks. They get under our skin. We know that we don't like Trae Young, and then there's the potential of a JB Bickerstaff matchup with Detroit, which bringing back those old Cleveland Detroit rivalries. In a year that we are allegedly maybe bringing back the old City Edition jerseys. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I must say, I'm very down on the Pistons this year. I think it's, and I talked about it a little bit with Dan. I just think this is a one step back to take a couple steps forward year. I think there was so much artificial inflation of their regular season results with the Malik Beasleys and the Tim Hardaways of the world bombing away against unfocused defenses in a year where no one really saw them coming. I think they're going to have more of a target on their back. I think the Jaden Ivey development is less guaranteed than people are pretending it is. I think the Ron Holland, Asar Thompson jumper development is going to be an adventure. And I'm just not, I think this is like a 43 win team. I think they're going to be a little worse than they were last year. But I think they'll be better. They'll get better information about the future of their team this year than they got last year.
I don't know.
They are young, so that plays to your point. Like all their young guys will be a year older.
Can be true, and the state of the Eastern Conference just kind of throws them a bone here, because you got to think about it this way too. Because they're a Central Division team, they are going to be playing the Cavs, which we think we're going to be very good. But outside of that, a much worse Bucks team, Chicago team that honestly I think it's probably worse, or if not stagnant. That seems to be kind of their general trajectory. And then Indiana, who I think is obviously going to be a whole lot worse this year.
If I may do a little zag, I don't think the Bucks are going to be a lot worse than they were last year.
Come on.
I don't.
Come on now.
I don't think the Dame...
Make your case. Make your case. Because I made my case last week where I said, put your thumb over Giannis when you're looking at a picture of that roster.
Yeah, why would I put a thumb over Giannis?
The rest of the roster.
Why would I put a thumb over Giannis? They won.
Just look at the rest of it.
They won 48 games last year. And I just don't really feel like the Dame Giannis thing was even ever the sum of their parts, let alone more than the sum of their parts. And I think it's going to be one of those. It's almost an inverse of the case I made for the Pistons, where it's like, I think the Pistons got, their road to being competitive on a night-to-night basis got harder, but I think it's ultimately better for them. I kind of feel the opposite way about the Bucks, where I think their game plan simplifies in a way that makes it very clear for them to know exactly who they're going to be night to night, but their ceiling just isn't that high. And I think a Giannis battering ram season with a nice stretch five and a little bit more mobility on defense in Miles Turner, as opposed to a rapidly aging Brook Lopez, and a few nice pickups. I love the Amir Coffey pickup for them. I think they can hang around that high 40s mark. Even though I don't really believe in them in a playoff series.
I mean, to your point, when you're looking at kind of Giannis on-off stats, when he was playing without Dame, they had a +9 net rating. When he was playing with Dame, it was a +5 net rating. So it's not
it just wasn't a good pairing. Giannis never wanted to be the pick and roll dive man of Dame's dreams.
Yeah. I look at Kyle Kuzma.
You're not wrong. Like, there's a lot to not like here.
There absolutely is a lot to not like. And, they were worse last year when Dame was on the court. They barely had a positive net rating with him on, +4.2 with him off. That lines up obviously with the Giannis stats as well. So, I think there's some merit to what you're saying. I just think, that supporting cast is so bad. And I just think that can be true in a regular season, but I do think that there's a value, even though Dame wasn't Dame. I think there's a value to having an innings eater out there. Someone that's just going to, I'm playing 2,000 minutes here. I'm eating a whole lot of possessions. Teams have to account for me. They have to play defense, in a different way because I'm out there on the court. I think that it is going to wear Giannis down. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. And if they have a tough stretch, all of a sudden you're going to have every network talking about, is Giannis going to ask for a trade? Like all of that noise is going to come in. And I think that type of environment is toxic for supporting casts and make teams play worse than they would otherwise.
Yep. I think that's fair. I think it's an interesting, them and the Pistons, I think, are like an interesting Rorschach test where it's like, what do you see when you look into them? Moving down to the dregs of the East.
I just want to say, because you didn't ask me, I'm still going to pick over on the Bucks because I think they're going to get 45, but I think they are going to be below both the Pistons and the Hawks.
Arguing over a 3-win projection difference?
No. I'm arguing over your analysis. I can agree with you and disagree with how you got there, and I will fight.
The analysis about how many wins they're going to have. What are you talking about?
No.
That's what the exercise is, bro.
No. You were putting them ahead of Detroit, and this is why I'm saying I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah.
I think it's going to be, but I think it's going to be like a 46-45 type of thing. Not fair. Like leagues ahead. Moving to the rest of the East, let's just grab bag this one. Heat, Pacers, Raptors. Heat and Pacers at 38.5, Raptors at 37.5. Anything jump out to you there?
I'm going to go over on Toronto because I think that they actually have a real good chance. Like, I think if there's a team that's going to leap the Sixers, Celtics, and maybe even the Bucks, I think it can be
They
Toronto.
kind of have to be the only pick, right?
Yeah. I think that's probably them because I don't think the Pacers have that kind of a ceiling, and I think Miami is a little dysfunctional right now. Like, it just, the vibes don't seem good. You know, there a lot of guys in trade rumors, things like that. Even if they get their, you know, sometimes they go into an off season and their whales are, you know, Dame, we're getting Giannis, we're getting LeBron, we're getting KD. Now it's like Jonathan Kuminga. Like, if they land Kuminga, I don't think that really changes how I feel about this over under. So I'm going to go
Norm
under.
Powell thing kind of breaks my brain still. He was real good last year.
He was. I don't love, like, I like the Clippers offseason, but I don't love that aspect of it. I don't get what he's doing in Miami, and I feel like he's someone that they could end up reselling here.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I got to go under there. You feel like you have to go under on the Pacers, though. The identity piece matters, and they also have a coach who doesn't tank as a general principle in a franchise that doesn't tank. They try to win at least 40 every year. So that's a factor, but I think I don't like this Raptors teams, but I still think the logic kind of holds. That's the end of our decent contender list in the East. But I do want to ask anyone that we didn't mention that in terms of the rankings that you think might be able to jump up and join this group and pass a couple teams. Those teams being the Chicago Bulls, the Brooklyn Nets, the Charlotte Hornets, or the Washington Wizards.
Well, maybe it's the Hornets because they are a rivalry week matchup, and that can only be because they are a fellow contender in the Eastern Conference. No, I don't see anyone that jumps out. Like, I like some of the pieces on the Bulls. Like, I like Buzelis. I think he's really interesting. Maybe the Jimmy Butler prophecy comes true, and Okoro takes that leap and becomes the next Jimmy. But no, I don't think any of these teams are doing that.
I don't think this team is going to do that, to be abundantly clear. But I can't help but kind of like this Washington Wizards team. They're kind of collecting guys that I think are pretty competent. You know, like they've got a bunch of floor raising, like grown-ups in the room, in guys like Middleton and McCollum. I like a lot of their prospects. I was a Bub Carrington guy. I liked what Sarr showed his rookie year in spurts. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but I think if I had to pick one of these teams to be, if I had to pick any of them to like, oh, they're like I got to think about this going into this game, I might pick them in that group.
I don't know, man. Like,
you got to squint your eyes to see the vision.
I just feel like this is
I just love Corey
2020, 2021 Cavs where we're like, well, you know, like they have some grown-ups there. Like, you know, Kevin Love's there, Larry Nance is there, Andre Drummond, JaVale McGee. You know, like maybe it's going to pan out, and it just doesn't. Like, it doesn't matter because there isn't the high-end talent there. Like, I feel like at some point Middleton's going to get moved as well, and some of these guys that we actually care about are not going to be there for the duration of the season, but they're interesting enough, you know. Shout out to Andrew Sharp.
Yeah, Trey Johnson is someone I like. Koulibaly is someone I like. I just like a lot of the kids on the roster. Yeah. And you know, they're still going to have that Wizard stank on them till they don't. But I just, for whatever reason they jump out at me.
Yeah, we'll see about that. So moving over to the Western Conference, OKC obviously kind of the high water mark at 62.5. I kind of want to go under here because I think coming off a championship, you're just not as motivated. They have guys that were relatively healthy last year that have an extensive injury history or tend to miss times. I think they're going to have a pretty conservative approach to the regular season. I'm going to go under on OKC.
I'm going to go over. I think this team has all the makings of a potential like multi-year, like they might be a dynasty. I'm not going to say it yet, obviously, but I think it's easy to forget. Holmgren missed a lot of last year on their road to 68 wins. Hartenstein missed a lot of games last year on the road to 68 wins. Caruso sat back-to-backs. Like, Shea played a ton of games. J-Dub played a ton of games. So it's like, maybe if those guys missed a lot of time, but it's just a team that has shown me that they can win in too many ways. I think, I'm not going to pick a heavy over, but if I had to pick, I'd pick like a 63, 64 win season until they show some more cracks.
Yeah, and I just think they're going to be low 60s. Like, I think they are going to win 60. I just think it's going to be in that 60, 61.
So we don't disagree too far.
Yeah, we're not too far off there. I just think they're going to have a more conservative approach. And I think that the Western Conference is just a little bit stronger this year too, right? Like, I think some of those young teams...
I didn't like the West last year, and I don't think you did either.
I didn't. And, some of those teams took time to develop, right? Like Minnesota, by the end of the season, they were a much better team than they were for the majority of the season. Houston really kind of got it going as the season progressed, and now they added Kevin Durant. I think Denver is better and deeper. Clippers, I think, are a better team. I think the Lakers are better. I think the Warriors are better. I think the Spurs are better, right? Like, some of those wins, it just has to come from somewhere. And I just think you're going to have a higher level of focus to win at that same clip. And I just don't think they're going to have the same level of focus, let alone a higher one.
That's fair. Let's move to the Rockets, who I think are probably the most interesting team of the offseason. They add Kevin Durant, they add Capella, they add like 5,000 players, and don't really lose anyone that I think is that good at basketball.
Yeah.
The Cam Whitmore's goes to Washington, another fun guy in Washington, by the way. It's a little wonky in some spots, but I mean, I don't know. They won 52 last year. They had one of the best defenses in the league, and the one thing they really couldn't do was get a bucket, and they got who remains the best isolation bucket getter in the league. What do you think?
I think under just a little bit. I don't think by much. I think they're going to be in that 55, 56 range. I'm looking at this, and basically, like, when you look at the Western Conference over-unders, there's like kind of big jumps here where OKC all the way, 6 wins down to the Rockets, then 3 wins down to Denver. I don't think that there's that big of a gap between the Rockets and the Nuggets. Like the Nuggets, they have at 53.5. I think that it's over. I think both of these teams are going to be about 55 wins, and it's going to come down to basically the end of the season for basically the seeding battle between 2 and 3. I think these teams are going to be neck and neck, and because I think that, OKC's total is going to come down a little bit from last year because I think the rest of the West is so good. I think you might have 4 or 5 wins that separates basically 2 through 7. And that means I think Houston is probably not as ahead of the pack as they're being projected right here.
I'm actually going to go the complete opposite way. I think this is a 3-team conference. I think OKC is in a tier of their own. Rockets and Denver are in the second tier. I don't think anyone else is even in the third tier. I think
Minnesota's with them.
I think Minnesota.
Close.
I just, Minnesota. Well, first I do want to hit Denver. So I want to go back to them. But I am going over on all the top 3 in OKC, Houston, Denver. But Minnesota, they've made me look dumb the last 2 years. And I'm just not learning my lesson. There's just something about the construction of that team that I just kind of don't believe in. And I'm just kind of like sitting here perpetually waiting for the other shoe to drop with them, where like I felt like they kind of had their season from hell last year where things weren't going super great. They won 49 and had a +5 net rating and were a pretty good team. Don't get me wrong. Their over-under is 49.5. But I just kind of feel like whenever I'm like sizing up true blue contenders, I always kind of find an excuse to look elsewhere with them. And that's not fair, and it might not even be like, I might just be wrong and dumb, but like there's something in my basketball belief system that has me vibing with these other 3 in a way I don't vibe with Minnesota.
It's okay. You're just overlooking the heart of the continent, my friend. You know, us Minnesota, Winnipeg, like you just these flyover areas that everyone's overlooking.
Don't make me start the timer.
I believe in Minnesota, man. I think Ant's ready to take a step forward. I think Jaden McDaniels made a step forward last year. Julius Randle, once he found his footing in Minnesota, was playing the best basketball of his career. I think that it makes a big difference. Rudy Gobert is still able to be a valuable contributor. And I like some of their young guys too. I think they're capable of stepping up. And, obviously the point guard piece is a bit of a weak spot for them. It might be the same thing with Houston. I don't know how much longer you can rely on Fred VanVleet, even though they extended him. I think Minnesota's with them. I think Minnesota, looking at 49.5, I think that's nuts. I think they're going to be right in that mix. I think they are definitely a 50-win team. Plus.
That's fair. Can we go back to Denver?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been like, sometimes when the entire internet is telling you how good an off season is, you should kind of get your hackles up. You should get a little prepared to like, this is a little too much hype. I'm full board with the internet on this one. I think Denver won the off season. They traded MPJ for Cam Johnson, who I'm not Cam Johnson's biggest fan in the world, but I cannot think of a better context for him than this. I think they only lose a little bit of rebounding and like some like rare rim protection on the rare occasions MPJ was in the right spot, without losing a tremendous amount of shooting. I do think MPJ is a more talented shooter than Cam Johnson is, but not by a tremendous amount. Mm-hmm. I think the addition of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown for the minimum is just so valuable because they just needed guys who weren't going to screw up or short circuit the offense. And like Hardaway gets to have the easiest year of his career incoming, where he just gets to shoot open threes whenever he wants, and even semi-contested ones. They've needed that. Their 3-point volume has been abysmal the last couple of years as teams have just kind of keyed in on that two-man game with Jokic and Murray and are like, okay, fine, but we're just not going to give you open threes. And so guys who can hit contested threes back in the lineup, super valuable. Brown can play a little backup point guard for them, though. If I were them, I might look at Russ Westbrook for a return tour. I actually thought he gave them good minutes, and I know he's kind of lingering on the free agent market. And then obviously the Jonas Valanciunas thing, which they just have been in such pain trying to find a backup center who can eat 10 minutes a game and have the offense still function. Jonas is really good at mashing backup second units that aren't as well equipped to kill him on the offensive end. And then they have the Deron Holmes a lotto ticket, a guy who I really loved in the draft, who got hurt last year, missed his entire rookie year. But if Jonas starts to show his age, it's not like you're completely out of luck at the backup five, because you have a lotto ticket in Holmes, who I think can play, can stretch the floor a little bit and rebound. So I just love this roster. I think they are by a mile the best contender to knock off OKC.
Agreed. I was going to say, I think they have a real chance. Like, you can't.
I think they could win 60 games.
Yeah, I think this is my 2 seed in the Western Conference. I think they have a shot to beat Oklahoma City. And I just think there's less of an adjustment period. Like, Jokic makes playing basketball so easy for everybody else, and everyone makes such perfect sense alongside him. Whereas integrating Kevin Durant for Houston, yeah, he's one of the most talented scorers ever. I know you're not the biggest fan, but I love Kevin Durant as a basketball player. There's going to be some bumps in the road.
I think there's
going to be some bumps for sure.
To your point, like, yes, Houston desperately needed some bucket getting. They also desperately needed like some offense organization, and Kevin Durant doesn't provide that. No. Fred VanVleet does not provide that. Amen Thompson has not yet proven that he can be that kind of like table setter. So it's like, I do think their offensive rating might go up a few ranks, but I'm not sure it's going to look any prettier when teams are locked in against them.
Yeah,
And it might not matter because Kevin Durant's really good at making shots.
Yeah, I have Denver ahead of them, and I wouldn't be surprised if, when we get to the playoffs or right to the end of the season, that it's Minnesota and Houston that are jockeying for a position more than Denver and Houston. Right now, I'm going to say Denver and Houston are going to be a little bit closer, but it wouldn't surprise me to see it go the other way.
I think Houston's going to be awesome too, by the way. I think they're right there with Denver. I just think the top three are amazing. I think Houston's value is going to be in how massive they are and how athletic they are. Like Kevin Durant's going from a Phoenix situation where in order for them to survive on defense, he kind of had to be like one of the best or second best defenders on the floor. So now he can just be part of this like ferocious collective and just clean up on the back end every now and again.
Yeah, I'm
they're
going to be really
nuts.
interested to see how they match up against the Cavs, and that might be one of the spots where I'm like, kind of want to start DeAndre Hunter. I kind of want to put DeAndre Hunter on Kevin Durant pretty early on.
I might prefer playing OKC to Houston if in a finals matchup. That's how worried I am about how the way Houston plays. I'm not sure I'm there yet.
But Houston or OKC does have like everyone's 6'4", like everyone's 6'4" and 6'5".
Yeah,
which is just a little bit different.
Yeah, just different. I mean, and I think OKC's a better team, and I probably should still be more scared of them than anyone else. But like, for example, I would rather play Denver of any of the three, even though I really love their team. So I don't know.
Yeah,
just a matchup.
Just always matched up really well against them, and Jared tends to do a good job on Jokic. Clippers at 48.5. Where are you going there? Let's lump in the Warriors too at 47.5 just to keep things moving.
I think in order for me to be intellectually consistent with all my overs so far, I'm going to lump them in with the unders. I think this Clippers team, the Harden cliff is coming. He's getting old. Kawhi is getting old. And when those guys lose a step, I just don't really believe in the rest of the structure to be like, yeah, I mean, people online could love Ivica Zubac as much as they want, but it's like, can he make them a 49-win team if Kawhi is a top 50 player instead of a top 25 player? Like, I just wonder when that buck stops for them, and I don't really love the Brook Lopez edition. I don't know if John Collins has played winning basketball the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's really weird that everyone's super confident that he's going to be incredibly helpful.
Like, yeah, I mean, I've been interested in him as like a flyer, but not for like changing your title hopes.
Yeah, and like Kawhi played 37 games last year. I think he's probably going to be about in that same range. Like, I don't think it's reasonable to expect him to play a whole lot more. And Norm Powell is really, really important for eating some of that usage. Yes, you have Bradley Beal now. Yes, you have Chris Paul now. Like, that's okay, helpful, but you're relying on a lot of vets and a lot of guys that haven't played, meaningful, helpful basketball in a while. And I kind of feel like anytime Lopez is on the floor, it's minutes that Zubac isn't. And I don't know if that's a net positive. Like, if his minutes per game come down and it's like a 24-24 split, I don't know if that's a great thing for the Clippers.
No, me neither. And on the Warriors, I think I have to go under there too. I just think they're getting old.
They're going to miss time.
And I don't think that's a team that cares that much. Like, if they are the 7 seed and they're healthy going into the playoffs, they probably feel fine. And the Kuminga thing lingers, and so I don't think I have a lot to say on the Warriors, so I'm going under.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. The one that's weird to me is the Lakers down at 46.5.
This is wrong.
They won 50 games last year.
This is wrong.
Luka's in shape. Like, Luka basically has done everything that I've complained about. Like, it seems like he's in the best shape of his career. I think that this is a team that still has a good enough supporting cast that, Luka and LeBron, I don't understand what this is doing at 46.5.
I'm going to further zag. DeAndre Ayton,
they're going to be better than the Clippers. They're going to be better than the Warriors. They're going to be around 50 wins. I don't understand this.
I think it's like this like mass punishment for being kind of sloppy in the playoffs. And then also the LeBron drama that I think is mostly going to resolve itself. And then I think they're getting insufficient credit for the addition of DeAndre Ayton, who I know is frustrating, but guys, they were playing Jackson Hayes playoff minutes. Like, that guy's barely an NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
And he was starting. And DeAndre Ayton, like, say what you will, he's big, strong, and when he's locked in on defense, protects the rim really, really well. I mean,
and he can roll to the basket, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of his biggest issues is not going all the way and kind of settling for the mid-range shot. Luka and LeBron are going to get that out of him.
Yeah, he'll just get it all the way by jumping at the hoop.
Yeah, like there's not two better pick and roll ball handlers like in the league that are able to do that at that size. Like, he is going to be an improvement for him. I think that
I think he's going to have the best year of his career.
I don't know if I would go that far, but I think he's going to be really helpful for them. And to suggest that they're going to win fewer games this year just doesn't make sense to me. I think there was a lot of dysfunction last year. Yes, they're not going to have Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis was really important.
How old is DeAndre Ayton, Justin?
27?
Correct. Like,
hey, look at
he
me
is
go.
in his physical prime. He's going to have the two best, like, pairings to give him the ball in the spots that they need. They're going to be able to, they're going to simplify things and give him easy decisions to make on defense and just be tall. He is one of the best Jokic defenders in the league, believe it or not, because of his physicality and size. Like, I just think everyone, I get it. He'd be really, really, if I were talking to a Blazers fan, I'm sure they'd be throwing fruit at me. But, like, it's just not the same. It's not the same playing for Portland last year as it is to play in LA with LeBron James and Luka Doncic. It's not the same.
It's okay. Danny Moran can't throw. I had to get that shot in for our buddy. Let's look at these last three. Spurs, I think, are the most interesting at 43.5. Is this the year? Is this the year that the Wemby thing results in a winning record?
No, it's a big, loud under for your boy. Just collecting a litany of guards who can't shoot. and then they paid like $40 million a year on centers, so Wemby doesn't have to play the five. That actually won't make them any better. Nothing about this team's construction makes any sense to me. I don't think they have shown me any evidence that the sum will be more than they'll be more than the sum of their parts. You're just betting on Wemby right now.
I don't think that's true. I think De'Aaron Fox, he's kind of a fringe all-star, like Allen type tier of player. I think he's helpful. I like Dylan Harper a lot. Stephon Castle's going to take a step forward.
I think Harper and Castle and Fox will all make each other 20% worse.
No, I don't think so. I think what helps there with them, like, there's some concern about Castle and Harper also being guards. They're both 6'7". Like, you can play a 3-guard lineup there, and I think you can get away with it. I like Devin Vassell a lot. Kelly Olynyk, obviously I hate him for a variety of reasons, but I think he kind of makes sense with Wemby. I think that's a reasonable guy.
Well, they added Kelly Olynyk, fire the over.
Yeah, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes. Like, there's just a lot of good basketball players here. Julian Champagnie, I like him a lot.
I know you do. So do I.
I think
there's just not enough guys I love on this roster to be picking a high 40s.
45 wins. 45 wins for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going over.
All right. What's next?
We got the Grizz at 40.5 and the Mavs at 39.5. I think the Mavs line is a little nuts. I think Anthony Davis, yes, they're missing Kyrie probably for the season, but it's going to be disrespectful, but I do think, having D'Lo and Cooper Flagg, who I think is going to be awesome right away. I think Cooper Flagg is going to be he's 2 years away from kind of being in that top 24 all-star type level player. I think that this is a team that's going to have a winning record. Maybe not by a lot, but I do think Anthony Davis is still kind of a top 8 player that's able to give you a very high floor. Cooper Flagg is going to make a lot of sense there. They have good role players. D'Lo can do enough. I think that this is an over, and the Grizz, sorry, I think this year is going to suck for you guys. I'm going under. Jaren Jackson's are already banged up, Baines out of town, and Morant can't stay healthy. I think they're an under.
As a non-believer in a lot of those Grizzly folks, I think you're right on that one. The only thing I'll say with the zag on the Mavs a little bit is like, doesn't this feel maybe just a little bit like Kevin Durant playing the shooting guard position his rookie year? Like Cooper Flagg, by all reports, is like his ability to play on ball is like a bonus, not like what you build the house around right now. Like he's an off-ball player, he's a do-it-all player. He's not a spam 30 pick and rolls a game player. And you've got this entire roster built out of power forwards and centers. And the size is nice. I just worry about the juice. I don't know if there's enough dudes on this roster who can dribble. And like I can't build an entire off-season argument for the Cavs about like everyone who has the ball has to be able to do something with it. No one can short circuit. Everyone's got to be able to catch, dribble, put the ball on the floor and go, and then be like, I think the Mavs are going to be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be awesome. I just think 39.5
39's low. I would guess like 40. So I guess it's an over, but not an enthusiastic
like 41,
one.
42. Like I think they're going to be right there. But you're right. There's just not a lot of juice there. Like
you got dribble.
Even someone like Max Christie, who I actually really like. I think that was a good get for them. No playmaking there. There's absolutely none. Clay's
how many turnovers is OKC going to force on these poor dudes when they play? It's going to be like 30.
I think outside of the teams we've talked about here, I think the rest of the West is actually going to be pretty crappy. And there's going to be a number of crappy teams in the East. I think that this team's
anyone in the West that like you think could jump?
Not really. I think these are the teams. I don't see anyone at the bottom that I actually trust that I think could take a step forward. I think
I really like this Jazz team. Just kidding. No one likes this Jazz team.
I also think Dallas, the other tricky thing with Dallas too, like when we're looking at this, I think they're going to be motivated to try to make some winning moves throughout the season as well. Like I think they're going to try to, silence some of the people that have been, killing them for the Luka trade still. And they're going to try to find ways to tweak this roster. I think they're probably a relatively safe over in my eyes, even though I don't think they're going to be very good.
New Orleans is just going to hang. That's the only one I can think that's like might make it into that 39-40 win group.
I just don't see how.
I mean, I don't like them at all, but I'm just trying to find someone.
Yeah, well, I don't see any teams down there that are going to leap into kind of the play-in mix. I think these.
I wonder when that New Orleans teardown comes. It is just right around the corner, isn't it?
One would think.
One more year of this. Of what they've been, you've got to wonder.
For this observer, moving Brandon Ingram to Toronto counts as a teardown. He is going to change the culture for the folks up north.
Okay, sweetheart.
You're right. Anyone that had over under for an hour on the podcast, we went well over on that one. I can't believe how long we went, but it's August. We're doing this once a week. We gave you guys a little extra podcast there. So big thanks to everyone that tuned in and hung out with us. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chase Down's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of the review to chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cavs.